used to be into the Islam. Hold on.
Allah damn, I must say her name in vain. Taught to love, hate to see only my people in pain. Minds warped and brain lost and watched. Sons of God still hang on trees, but black Jesus hung on a cross. Watching them stagger with anger through the thoughtless forest. Wearing black to bury, but called black is lawless. The only race human, we were the green and blue men. With more science, ancient solutions. Uplift and falling, calling for the end of confusion. But damnation loves the hologram, show illusion. Trick and bamboozled as always and forever. Damnation needs to learn a new measure. Aggressor or intelligent tone beats them anytime, cousin. They expect the nigga antics, the yelling and cussing. Turban of fez turns heads of fez to dashboard computers. Sarge told them leave the Moors alone to crown prosecutors. Some listen, some turn to kill the who's not a more sharpshooter. Wards of the crown, civil litter, more tooth pocket looters. Lions conquered cause their pride and courage is neutered. In the face of damnation.
We don't live under the law. That's not true. The reading testimony to hear it in the church. Also, I used to be into the Islam. Hold on.
It's crazy how the politics can't call it quits. Prepping excursions of perversion just to call they bids. Now it's stunting for the snorting all the bass kids. They got a whole lot of wordplay to make you sick. And they propose it just to throw it in your face. Take six, it's all games cause these corporates trying to sell you tricks. And ain't no exclusive for the losing boy. It's tunnel vision, stardust, and it's a comet straight. Shoot a boy to make sure you would take her. You're feeding off of damnation just so you can hate her. She can never be the reason you betrayed her. You tell her all the lies just to open up her thighs and try to break her instead of open up her eyes and try to wake her. Impossible, cause all you try to do is let this paper cater to her feelings and blind her like a savior. Pretty picture you a painter, but all the bets you're trying to wager. This fee I only give you what you can't have later.
Going back, not forward, living for the youth. Measure up the truth, back to this constitutional fold.
In the face of damnation.
We don't live under the law. That's not true. The reading testimony to hear it in the church. Also, I used to be into the Islam. Hold on.
All aboard, all in. Hands up, all for one, one for all. Man up, damnation like to make excuses like their hands cuffed. Usually in the cookie jars where their hands stuck. Always pointing fingers on what we do, why you mad at us? Lead them to the water, make them drink, still mad as fuck. Took the pill, wasn't ready, what you think? Back on luck, resorting to your corporate ways. Think you made an honest buck. Look at all the things you say, lets me know your life sucks. Regret choices every day, why bother waking up? Damnation always sees the half empty of the cup. Higher self eventually fades to obscurity. Lower self raises up. Run into the church, worship him, but they praising us. Empty out your purse, sing a hymn, in God you trust. Blood of Christ wash away your sins. So what's the fuss when you can run to us? Why you acting sus? You were agent, I still ride the back of the bus. Blood hits the pavement, politician gets his cut. Mental enslavement, static connect, breaking up.
In the face of damnation.
We don't live under the law. That's not true. The reading testimony to hear it in the church. Also, I used to be into the Islam. Hold on.
Islam and a happy holy day. I am R.H. Salaam Bey. On this great second day of February, Gregorian calendar year 2024, that's an 8th day. Look into numerology, figure out what that might be and how that applies to you. You dig? We're getting back into and finishing up the reading of Moors, Mexicans, and other Al-Marak, North, South, Central, South Al-Marak, Al-Maracan indigents. We left off on page 48, and we're going to finish up the reading and completion of said documentation so that we can dissect, digest, and levitate, elevate, and come into the knowing of the truth. For it does not pass away. It owes you no apology. It does not need your agreements, nor your attachments. Aboriginals and Aboriginals and Indigens of America. We, Moorish Al-Moroccans, Americans, descendants of the ancient ones, will now share a little ancient chronology which has been duly suppressed by the occupational forces and colonists from Europe. We must responsibly do this and share this with the unconscious among us in order to foster and give support to unity and brotherly considerations among ourselves and toward our Mexican national extended family. The corrupt and negative effects of European colonialism have brought the Western Hemisphere downward into full, destabilized, and troubling states and conditions of duress and confusion. That's the whole truth. What is the truth about the ancient Canaanite, Moabite history in Al-Morocc, America? What ancient history has been buried or suppressed by the European occupational colonists, and inquisitionists who now extort, misgovern, and negatively dominate the political arenas in the Americas? What is the ancient Moabite, Moorish, and Mexican historical connection? Well, here it is. We will share some of the ancient Moorish chronicles with our extended families, trusting to restore some semblance of honor and truth to the situation. The following is an excerpt from the Holy Quran, Circle 7, of the Moorish Holy Temple of Science, founded by Prophet Noble Drew Ali, better known as, higher degree known as, spiritual name known as Sheikh Sharif Abdul Ali, Professor Drew. As he was sometimes called, was the great restorer and redeemer of ancient Moorish consciousness and high science culture in North America. That is the whole truth and absolute fact. The Divine Instructions from the Prophet, chapter 37. No. Is that 47? I don't necessarily know my Mormon numerals like that. I believe that's 47. And it reads, Egypt, the capital empire of the Dominion of Africa. The inhabitants of Africa are the descendants of the ancient Canaanites from the land of Canaan. Old man Cush and his family are the first inhabitants of Africa who came from the land of Canaan. His father Ham and his family were second. Then came the word Ethiopia, which means the demarcation line of the dominion of Amexem, the first true and divine name of Africa. The dividing of the land between the Father and the Son. The dominion of Cush, northeast and southeast Africa, and northwest and southwest was his father's dominion of Africa. In later years, many of their brethren from Asia and the Holy Lands joined them. The Moabites from the land of Moab who received permission from the pharaohs of Egypt to settle and inhabit northwest Africa. They were the founders and are the true possessors of the present Moroccan Empire, with their Canaanite, Hittite, and Amorite brethren who sojourned from the land of Canaan seeking new homes. Their dominion and inhabitation extended from northeast and southwest Africa across the great Atlantis, which was at one point a river, even unto the present North, South, and Central America, and also Mexico, and the Atlantis Islands, before the great earthquake which caused the great Atlantic Ocean. The river Nile was dredged and made by the ancient pharaohs of Egypt in order to trade with the surrounding kingdoms. Also, the Niger River was dredged by the great pharaoh of Egypt in those ancient days for trade, and it extends eastward from the river Nile westward across the great Atlantic. It was used for trade and transportation. Did you see the connection there? According to all true and divine records of the race, there is no Negro, black, or colored race attached to the human family, because all the inhabitants of Africa were and are of the human race, descendants of the ancient Canaanite nation from the Holy Land of Canaan. What your ancient forefathers were, you are today, without doubt or contradiction. There is no one who is able to change the descendant nature of his forefathers, unless his power extends beyond the great universal creator, Allah, God, Buddha, Jesus, etc. himself. Again, what your ancient forefathers were, you are today, without doubt or contradiction. There is no one who is able to change the descent nature of their forefathers, unless his power extends beyond the great universal creator, Allah himself. These holy and divine laws are from the Prophet, Noble Drew Ali, the founder of the Moore Science Temple of America. These laws are to be strictly preserved by the members of all the temples of the Moore Science Temple of America, that they will learn to open up their meeting and guide it according to the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Every subordinate temple of the Grand Major Temple is to form under the covenant of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and create their own laws. And customs in conjunction with the laws of the Holy Prophet and the Grand Temple. I, the Prophet, Noble Drew Ali, was sent by the great God, Allah, to warn all Asiatics of America to repent from their sinful ways before the great and lawful day which is sure to come. Repeat. Every subordinate temple of the Grand Major Temple is to form under the covenant of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and create their own laws and customs in conjunction with the laws of the Holy Prophet and the Grand Temple. I, the Prophet, Noble Drew Ali, was sent by the great God Allah to warn all Asiatics of America to repent from their sinful ways before that great and lawful day which is sure to come. My question after reading that is this: if that was the purpose of the temples, and according to other literature, dispense in reference to, in regards to, in reverence to, reference and reverence, what the Prophet laid down, Noble Drew Ali, why do we have what we have as it relates to not having what he left? I'm going to repeat the question. Why do we have what we have that we don't have as it relates to what he laid down? Let me expound. Why are the temples that are in my area not on the hedges and highways? I never see these Bamas anywhere doing anything as it relates to delivering and giving the high science, not church, knowledge back to the people, making sure that they know that they are not Negro, black, colored people, making sure that they are aware of nationality and birthrights and not being naturalized. Again, nationality and birthrights, but not being naturalized, because to be naturalized means that you were not of the origin and you're being considered as a part ipso jure Moorish subjects. I'm going to press on. The Prophet warned you that new Moors are going to come with their eyes open. So I promise you, I see and I hear, and you will be moved to the back. Pardon me. Next paragraph or entry. The time has come when every nation must worship under its own vine and fig tree, and every tongue must confess his own. This has nothing to do with any politically controlled religious belief system. Pardon me. Through sin and disobedience, every nation has suffered slavery. I'm going to read that beginning sentence one more time. Through sin and disobedience, every nation has suffered slavery due to the fact that they honored not the creed and principles of their forefathers. That still means and has nothing to do with politically organized, controlled religious systems. Any form of Catholicism, Buddhist, Hinduism, pardon me, and any other of the ones you may want to call out, because all of them have a dogmatic belief system and an esoteric high science back to self, knowledge of self system, all of which came from an original spiritual system, because the word spirit literally means to breathe, the art of breathing, and breath. Pressing on. That is why the nationality of the Moors was taken away from them in 1774, and the words Negro, black, colored, and I repeat, and the words Negro, black, and colored was given to the Asiatics of America who were of Moorish descent, because they honored not the principles of their mother and father and strayed after the gods of Europe, that's modern Europe, of whom they knew nothing. Pardon me. Sinus is running. It must be remembered that the continental land area, which is now called Africa by modern geographic and historical altering, was originally called South Asia. And that is an absolute fact. I remember in elementary and most likely middle school, which was the last time I was ever in a civics class, seeing a map that indicated Asia Major and Asia Minor. Anyway, I digress. Pressing on. So repeating, was originally called South Asia by the Moors. Note that the historical surah, including verses 6 and 7, relates to the ancient dominions of the Moors. Note the following excerpts. The Moabites from the land of Moab, who received permission from the pharaohs of Egypt to settle and inhabit northwest Africa. They were the founders and are the true possessors of the present Moroccan Empire, with their Canaanite, Hittite, and Amorite brethren who sojourned from the land of Canaan seeking new homes. Their dominion and inhabitation extended from northeast and southwest Africa across the great Atlantic Ocean, even unto the present North, South, and Central America, and also Mexico and the Atlantis Islands, before the great earthquake which caused the great Atlantic Ocean. And so we can see, as presented in this map, that Mexico, is geographically a part of Northwest Amexem and an original part of the ancient dominion of the Moors. Mexico is located at the lower southern part of Northwest Amexem, America. Contrary to the fictional and repugnant claims made by European colonists, the Mexicans are, without doubt or contradiction, a direct part of the ancient natural peoples and are indigenous Almoracans Americans. Mexico is rightfully associated with America and are American by heritage and birthright. Mexico is America and Mexicans are Americans, Almoracans. An American cannot be an immigrant to America. Let's repeat that. An American cannot be an immigrant to America. One more time. An American cannot be an immigrant to America. Bottom line, this geopolitical truth and fact applies to all the other indigenous Asiatics of the Americas and also to the natural peoples of the adjoining islands Americana. We indigents are Almoracan by pedigree, heritage, and birthright, and are rightfully proud of it. It is not a negative pride, but a pride of honor and self-recognition, i.e. determination. See the Declaration of Human Rights, see the rights of a child, see the Declaration of rights of indigenous people, etc. You can also look at the American Rights of Man. I forget exactly how it's titled, but that's also a human rights declaration. But anyway, all of which indicate and emphatically states that you have a right to a nationality. So why you want to still be black, Negro, and colored, Negro, black, and colored, NBCs, and not know your ABCs? I don't know. But again, anyway, pressing on. repeating. No, pressing on. It is not a negative pride, but a pride of honor and self-recognition in the face of colonial fakery and oppression. The restoration of true birthright, heritage, true history, rightful inheritance of the gold, silver, and commerce, and the restoration of justice to our families awaits our mistreated offspring. And what that means is if you are a newly awakened, newly reminded, fresh off the boat of ignorance, coming back into the knowledge of self, attaching and reattaching and reassembling and realigning thyself to land, history, and culture, and know that you know that you know that you know that you know you are and more, then stop looking for ways to benefit off your people. Because this ain't about a money grab. Because in fact, you are plain rich. And when done right, the things that we are supposed to have are going to just appear. I get it. Poverty, disenfranchisement, lack of housing, clothing, food, proper education. Mind you, I said proper education, which would be erudition. Pardon me. All of those things are lacking. Not because of the color of your skin, but because when you actually know who you are, they can no longer run their game. That's the freedom. And they will have to run home with their tail between their legs, and they don't have a home except for a place we gave them. We gave them a place to be. They have no home on this planet. And that's not hate. These are just facts. And because we're supposed to move from the principle of love, which if in fact you actually move from that principle of love, all of the others are automatic. And you don't see color anymore. And those who thought they saw color will no longer see color anymore. Because those who first enslaved them, because the word slave comes from the word Slav, which would mean all of the modern European nations, meaning that they have a nationality directly connected to that which was done to them first by the original people. It's time for you to take your lumps. It's time for you to accept the fact that you are not the victim. No more victimization mindset. Oh yes, at some point in time, some horrible things did happen to some, a very small number of our people who are now presently mislabeled mistermed as Negro, blacks, and coloreds, and Afro-Americans, and African-Americans, and Latinos, etc. That is the truth. And that's the bottom line. And when we get back to that mind state of our ancient mothers and fathers, before the time frame that we decided to try to cut off from ourselves those things that we did not want, and creating a people who wanted to destroy not only the original people but the land. When we get back to that, harmony will be restored, and the lamb can lay next to the lion. Pardon me. And the only way, the absolute only way, that the restoration of those things associated with nationality of birth and birthrights are obtainable is through the people recognizing their ignorance, owning their folly, and rising up to true divine knowledge of nationality and birthrights. It ain't happening no other way. It ain't happening under Negro, black, colored, Afro-American, African-American, Indian, Native American, American Indian, Latino, none of that. Latin, it ain't happening. Pressing on. American states. A state is a people permanently occupying a fixed territory and bound together by common law, habits, and customs into one body politic, exercising, by way of organized government, independent sovereignty and control over the persons and things within its boundaries. Let's repeat that one more time so that you comprehend what a state actually is, and it also applies to your state of mind. However, one more again. A state is a people permanently occupying a fixed territory and bound together by common law, habits, and customs into one body politic, exercising, by way of organized government, independent sovereignty and control over the persons and things within its boundaries. That did not say anything about a government, state government, politician, senator, governor, policy enforcers that you like to call police. Pressing on. The continental United States was such before the Inquisitionists came. A nation, state, is capable of making war and peace and of entering into treaties and international relations with other state communities of the planet. There are many American states, jurisdictions existing on the two American continents, and among the many adjoining islands. These all make up Americana, as noted earlier. Let's repeat that one more time. A nation, state, is capable of making war and peace and of entering into treaties and international relations with other state communities of the planet. There are many American states, jurisdictions, existing on the 2 American continents and among the many adjoining islands. These all make up Americana, as noted earlier. Organization of American States, OAS. The Organization of American States, O.A.S., is a regional international political organ in the Western Hemisphere, which was established the 30th day of April 1948, A.D. equaling 1368 Moorish calendar at Bogota, Colombia, Republic of America. This indigenous American, Al-Moroccan organization was authorized by the United Sovereign Consent and Agreement of 21 American states, i.e. countries. All of these sovereign American states are republics, not democracies, not democratic. Their social and political agenda and purpose involves those things which foster peace, economic and political security, and promotes the protecting of the sovereignty and territorial integrity of these politically united American countries. The headquarters for the O.A.S. is located at Washington, District of Columbia, North America, and its secretariat is the Pan American Union. After 1948, the Council of the O.A.S. set out immediately to enforce the Inter-American Treaty of Reciprocal Assistance, which is also known as the Rio Treaty. The O.A.S. opposes interventions or impositions made by foreign states or by other American states, countries in the region or hemisphere. Asia, Asiatics. Asia is the ancient and original name given to the lands and continents of the planet Earth by the ancient Moabites and Canaanites. Repeat. Asia is the ancient and original name given to the lands and continents of the planet Earth by the ancient Moabites and Canaanites. Thus, Asia relates to the land, Earth, and Asiatics relates to the natural peoples of the land, Earth. Asiatic nation was and is the proper ancient and modern pedigree designation of the original natural peoples. Northwest Amexem, Central Amexem, and South Amexem is the ancient name for the geographical areas which in modern times were called Northwest, Central, and Southwest Africa. Northwest, Central, and Southwest Africa is now contemporarily called North America, Central America, and South America. And this is the true political, geographical, and social ascension, name, history of the lands, earth, and of the natural peoples who now suffer from distorting European colonialism, which is now infecting the Americas and Americana. It is socially and morally responsible and incumbent upon the conscious Moors and Mexicans, and the Mexicans, being the true promenitor indigens by birthright, to promote the restoration of true geography and world history. We must work to restore a knowledge of the ancient cultures and to restore the truth about ourselves and the land, Almorak, America. The dark, olive-skinned, thick-lipped, and kinky-haired Moors who are now erroneously calling themselves Negroes will have to re-educate the miseducated masses of humanity of the planet Earth and turn them back to their true history, geography, and zodiac science culture. The pale-skinned Frankenstein nation of colonizing people, Paleo, have, by way of Inquisition policy, miseducated the indigenous peoples of the world by way of destroying ancient books, scripts, artifacts, and literature, and by disingenuously rewriting history with the stroke of their pens. They have also distorted true history and geography by altering the maps of the world and have changed the names and locations of nations. This has achieved for them their desired aim to place the natural people into a state of inferiority, insecurity, and destabilization, with a perceived disconnection of the natural people from the land. And so the people suffer pronounced geographical misinformation. These contrived abridgments, as made against global geography, have also caused the natural people to descend into a complete state of utter confusion and absolute ignorance, if I might add. Such demo inquisition strategies were necessary for them to conquer civilization and enable them to rule the world for their first time in history and their last. It is hereby decreed and declared that these truths be proclaimed throughout the land. It is in the best interest of all humanity, including the Europeans, modern Europeans that is, and the indigenous natural peoples of the world, that we commit ourselves to the sublime Insonami principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Universal justice is the foundation of right law, i.e. positive law. Government, and is the social and political order of the day. So mote it be. Hibu, Haqq, Salaam, Hurryatun, and Adl. I don't know exactly those Arabic words. I'll look them up. I know Salaam means peace. That's why I chose Salim. Pushing on. Lex est dictamen rationis is of ancient and modern jurisprudence and a phrase of positive law which means law is the dictate of reason. The common law will judge according to the law of nature and the public good. Logic and reason therefore inspires the universal call for justice and a public declaration of status from the Moabite natural persons and indigents of the land. Affidavit of fact. I'll definitely pull up the definition, lawful legal definition, as well as the general definition of affidavit, so you know what that actually means. Someone recently tried to, about 3 months ago maybe now, or maybe a little longer, slightly longer, asked me one day, so is an affidavit law? And in my haste to provide an answer, I said yes. But what I really meant was that an affidavit is a example of lawful principle and can be expressed relating to true law and information used to express. But see, I also know that, as he mentioned or let it be known, I study these things. I went to school for these things. I used to write these things. So he's about my uncle's age. He's probably around 70, 60-something, 70 plus, maybe somewhere in there. And he also said the Constitution doesn't apply to us. So I know immediately at that point what happened with him, to him. He's either sold out or was forced to let go. So, you know, pressing on. Legal notice of preservation of inalienable rights and Constitution-secured immunities. This legal notice is hereby presented as an adequate point in law to inform and to give public notice to all comers, private and public, including all elected and non-elected public officials, etc., that I, Ronnie Himes, Salaam Bey, R.H. Salaam Bey, I won't tell you my spiritual appellation, indigent to the land, Almarak/America, and being a natural person and not a 14th Amendment corporate person or entity, nom de guerre or straw man, do declare and say, all inalienable rights, all substantive rights, all birth rights, all Constitution-secured rights, all human rights, and all international law rights secured by the supreme law treaties between the United States Republic of America / Morocco, Maghreb al-Aska, West, the extreme, Northwest Amexem, America, etc., are preserved, reserved, not waived, not transferred to any other, and are acknowledged as being enforced and not abandoned nor ever intended to be abandoned. Any claims made by any person, any personnel, or any corporate entity to the contrary notwithstanding, in harmony with reason and in accord with the established supreme law of the land, refer to the Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. E/CN 4, subsection 2, 1994-2 or /2 /addendum 1, 1994. The following are 6 declaration articles of Part 1 and Part 2 enforced by federal constitution law and international law. See Article 6 of the United States Constitution and Executive Order 13107, the implementation of human rights treaties, etc., to which the senators and representatives and the members of the several legislatures and all executive and judicial officers, both of the United States and of the several states, are bound and shall be bound by oath or affirmation to support this Constitution, affirming that indigenous peoples are equal in dignity and rights to all other people, while recognizing the rights of indigenous people to be different, to consider themselves different, and to be respected as such. Not special interests, not special program, not special alphabets, just different. Part 1, Article 2. Indigenous individuals and peoples are free and equal to all individuals and peoples in dignity and rights, and have the right to be free from any kind of adverse discrimination, in particular that based on their indigenous origin and identity. Part 1, Article 3. Indigenous people have the right of self-determination. By virtues of that right, they freely determine their political status and freely pursue their economic, social, and cultural development. Part 1, Article 4. Indigenous people have the right to maintain and strengthen their distinct political, economic, social, and cultural life of the state. Part 1, Article 5. Every indigenous individual has the right to a nationality. Let's say that one a few more times. Part 1, Article 5. If you think you are an Indian American, Indian, Native American, this is why you don't want to claim that brand. Every indigenous individual has the right to a nationality. Every indigenous individual has the right to a nationality. Part 2, Article 6. Indigenous people have the collective right to live in freedom, peace, and security as distinct people, and to full guarantees against genocide or any other acts of violence, including the removal of indigenous children, CPS, from their families and communities under any pretext. I'm going to read that one at least one more time. Indigenous people have the collective right to live in freedom, peace, and security as distinct people, and to full guarantees against genocide, police, that so-called police brutality, or any other acts of violence, mass shootings, human trafficking, so-called driver's license, so-called license to do anything, including the removal of indigenous children from their families and communities under any pretext. That doesn't mean that some people, some so-called black people, should not have access and or the caring for their children. Some of you are horrible, and that is the whole truth. Object to color of law. Due to continuous patterns of corruption and racketeering amongst the U.S. demo politicians and corporate persons at North America, being residuals of colonialism, it is definitely important for the Aboriginal and Indigenous natural people to continuously declare our rights for the public record. True Americans are regularly being subjected to color of law policies and regulations which are emanating not from de jure law, positive law, constitutional, but from de facto, negative law, color of law, which is unconstitutional and fraud. The natural people are under attack by persons claiming governmental powers and authorities which do not reside with them. In other words, there are criminals organized and operating through positions in government on city, state, and federal levels. The remedy and measuring document to be used to secure the legitimate government of the people is the Constitution for the United States of America. Know that no state constitution is at variance with it, and that the judges of every state are bound by oath to uphold and enforce it. As an example, the following declaration is presented. A like form or presentment may be issued to corrupt government officials and or agencies who are making unconstitutional demands upon the people. A public declaration of rights reserved. In preservation of my rights to life, liberty, property, and pursuit of happiness, and my right to make a living, unencumbered by color of law impositions, I do not transfer any power of attorney to anyone over my person or property or personality whatsoever, nor do I desire to contract with any foreign political body or entity, nor do I transfer my rights or property to any foreign law or under any statute or corporate fiction having any real or semblance of law contrary in nature or function to or adverse to the national constitution, etc. I furthermore am maintaining all rights to the remedies which the supreme law provides to enforce the securing of the same. I did not, and do not solicit the imposed demand of help as assessed by any stranger or foreign entity, nor do I willingly accept any liability or partnership to any color of law or color of right, ordinance, or state statute having the structure, the intent, or the effect of depriving me of any personality, emolument, protection, right, or immunity secured by the Constitution. I do not support, encourage, nor agree to any contrived or misrepresented instrument or instruments, document or documents, nor to any deceptive, non-mutual adhesion contract which by any means or nature abrogates my rights, or that transfers any unrevealed liability upon myself, nor do I agree to any non-mutually incurred debt whatsoever. I reserve my divine rights to exercise all and any substantive rights secured by the Constitution, and do hereby make public notice to the same. I do not accept any liability or responsibility for any straw man, constructed, created by others, whether by an individual or by any corporate entity or agency, erected and used by them to exercise my private, corporate, or administrative extortion agenda. Let me repeat that. I do not accept any liability or responsibility for any straw man, created by others, whether by any individual or by any corporate entity or agency erected and used by them to exercise any private, corporate, or administrative extortion agenda. I make public notice that any letter, instruments, or documents created with the nomen or name written in all capital letters is to be considered an unreal as unreal, a fiction, a deliberate misrepresentation, and an international fraud, designed by its producers and creators to bring about a tort or injury to myself. Any straw man or human trafficking instrument, any straw man or human trafficking instrument presented to myself through the mail or allegedly associated to me by anyone and bearing any unrevealed purpose or liability whatsoever is an intentional perversion of truth and constructed for the purpose of depriving me of a legal right. Such an instrument's existence serves to deceptively deprive me of something of value. Any such instruments possessing any such qualities as above stated are to be presumed as void and cured forthwith. I, therefore, preserve my right to contract with or not to contract with whomever I, under right law, choose. I declare and reserve all rights secured by the Constitution against colorable persons, corrupt officials, agencies, and or any other colorable state, city, or federal employees occupying seats in government. I hereby declare, affirm, and say that I preserve all my right, being an aboriginal and indigenous natural person secured by natural law. The Constitution for the United States Republic, all relative treaties, constitutions, and secured by the laws of nations, international. All other relative rights are reserved, including, but not limited to, divine law, or A, divine law, B, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, C, the Declarations of the Rights of the Child, D, the International Covenant of Civil and Political Rights, I'll look that one up, E, the Convention on Elimination of All Forms of Racial Discrimination, look that one up too, and F, all other relevant treaties concerned with the protections and promotion of human rights to which the United States Republic is now a party, or may become a party in the future, upon the strength of justice and upon the oaths, affirmations, and obligations to which all government officials are duly bound, including their duty to enforce the binding United States Executive Order 13107. Constitutions, being the supreme law, are in place to protect the natural people and citizens. Very clear distinction there. I'm going to reiterate that. Constitutions, being the supreme law, are in place to protect the natural people and citizens from corrupt and colorable politicians, persons, entities, agencies, personnel, and employees who seize the opportunity to misuse the powers vested in the offices of seats of government. Lex semper dabit remedium, meaning the law will always give a remedy. Lex semper intendit quod convenit rationae, meaning the law always intends what is agreeable to reason. Lex securit ignorati, meaning the law assists the ignorant. The United States Supreme Court, state courts, like federal courts, have a constitutional obligation to safeguard personal liberties and to uphold federal law. So that was a case law that I was reading there, and that's Stone versus Powell, 428 U.S. 465, 96. Maybe that's South Connecticut. S.CT.3037, 49, L.ED.2nd, 1067. Looks like these next couple of joints are case law. So the United States Supreme Court, the obligation of state courts to give full effect to federal law is the same as that of federal courts. New York versus Eno, 155 U.S. 89, 15. No, South Court maybe. Don't know what the S.CT. is. 30, 39, L.ED.80. And the United States Supreme Court, an administrative agency, may not finally decide the limits of its statutory powers. Thus, this is a judicial function. So, Security Board versus Nairotco. Nairotco, maybe, I don't know. 327 U.S. 358, 66 S.CT.637, 162, ALR 1445, 90, L.ED 719. A suit remedy for the people. Every person or city, state, or government official who, under color of law, deprives any legal citizen their legal rights and immunities is subject to civil and or criminal penalty pursuant to United States Code of Law, Title 18, Section 241 and 242. The ultra-virus statute, again, the ultra-virus statute, does not protect such violating persons or person from prosecution as individuals, and such violators are subject to $10,000 fines and or prison. The binding oaths or affirmations taken by all and any past or present persons holding public trust or public office to protect the rights of the people still stands. Being a sovereign Al-Moroccan American citizen and aboriginal indigenous natural person of the continental United States, the organic land and people, and honoring its republican form of government endowed with the absolute rights and immunities I affirm in propria persona, in full life, and in honor of right, law, governmental principles. Lex est des dictamen rationis. Law is the dictate of reason. The common law will judge according to the law of nature and public good. Peace. And last but not least, think. Identity. Evidence. Sameness. The fact that a subject, a person, or thing is the same as it or they are represented to be, claimed to be, or charged to be. This is the law. Consider true identity whenever the argument or controversy involving the issue of immigrant or immigration is presented for analysis, adjudication, or review. I thank you all for joining me yet again on another reading. This was the final installment to this great piece of work in literature. Honors to Brother Taj, Grand Sheikh Taj Sharik Bey, for his diligence and sincerity, providing us with this documentation. Moors, Mexicans, and other Al-Moroccan, North, South, Central, and Central South Al-Moroccan indigents. You can find this book on the great website, online university, RV Bay Publications. Honors to the mother, good sister Raz Mariah Bey, for the work she's done and continues to do in honor and in accord with what the Prophet brought. I will catch you next time, and until then, do remember that the 5 will keep you straight, and the 2 are your saving grace. That is love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, nationality, and divine creed, i.e., birthrights.